Hi, Manish.
Hi.
So I forgot to tell other people about this meeting today. It looks like Nadine isn't able to attend. Should we get started now? Is there anything that you want to talk about, Manish?
Yes. So I was like working with the token update transaction, and like we previously updated some of the transaction to use both the public and private key. Uh, the token update transaction, like currently it just support the private key. So I'm thinking like, should we also update this to use both of them?
Can you give me the link to it? Do you want to share your
Uh,
screen
yeah,
or?
yeah, I can share my screen. Yeah, so does my screen visible?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like here it is using the private keys, but in the other SDKs like JS and Java SDK, they are supporting both of the keys. So
Yeah, okay.
does it like worth to also update these to use both of them?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Where else in the SDK do we just I assume we do that in other places too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We have just a certain
Uh,
kind of key. So token update, transaction.
I think
Transaction in transaction we have that as well.
yes.
Key. And we have loads of optional public keys. I assume that's more like the typing than us actually, converting the things correctly and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, wow. There's a lot of files that we have public keys instead of just key. Do you think we should create like a key class?
Yes, I think like we can create a super class for the both the keys and can put common methods such as like to proto or from proto um, in that in
Yeah.
order to like make it similar to what the Java and JS SDK do.
Yeah, obviously we're going to have a problem with like if people put the wrong keys in and things. Because like it's one thing that I don't understand too well is like if you pass a if you pass something that you think is a public key but is actually a private key.
Uh, Actually, it is like when we create the proto object, it just get converted to the public key. So like if it is public key, it is just set as the public key, and if it is private key, then it is just converted to the public key and passed to the proto.
Yeah. So if we're converting to public keys, are there any instances where that will cause an error?
I think the only instance is like when we sign the transaction, it should just use the private key instead of the public key. That's the only place.
Because when we convert to public key, some key types you can't actually know if it's a
Yeah,
private or a
yeah,
public key, right? Like
yeah.
that's just something that I assume will
That will
just be
cause an
like
error.
a weakness. Yeah, it'll just be like
Yes.
we can't really do much about that in the SDK. It's more like we trust the users to
Uh,
kind of use it correctly, but that's something that I don't know enough about. Like if we pass a private key, it gets converted to a public key, or if we pass a public key and it gets like remains a public key, is that actually going to cause any issues if the public and the private keys are not distinguishable?
yeah.
Yeah, that goes, I think that goes beyond me. I mean, I was working on the key classes a long time ago, so I don't remember it that well, but I'm pretty sure the ED 25519 keys have the same, they look exactly the same if they're a private and a public key.
Yes, yes. There, the encoded keys look the same.
Yeah. Um, I think the JavaScript SDK also does key encoding slightly differently to us. And also, yeah, I mean, I think they use slightly different ways to use the algorithm and stuff. So I don't know whether it's worth checking with somebody who might know a little bit more about that. But I mean, in principle, having a super key class is useful, and it would be good for users to be able to pass private or public keys. And I think if we have a super class like this, it shouldn't really change. It shouldn't really cause too many errors. But like I'm just thinking about like those edge cases where it's possible that something could go wrong. So I don't really know how that would be tested. But yeah, maybe we could like open up an issue to create like a super key class. Do you know
Yeah,
if the JavaScript SDK has a key class?
uh, I think JS SDK has the key class. So
Or is it something that they're just creating like per per transaction or
uh, actually, I don't get it.
yeah, I would say if we were going to open up an issue for like a super key class, we would just have to learn what happens if you try and cause some edge cases.
Yes, yes.
Um Do we have any users asking us to allow like different types of keys?
No, there is no new issue regarding to support the both keys. It was just only the first issue that came for the token create transaction class.
Yeah. So contract create, contract info, all the contracts are typed with public key as well. We definitely have way more optional public keys than private keys. Who does private keys? Oh, token updates. Yeah. I mean, I guess with these we should just do key because making it yeah, okay. And what about the chunking one that you are working on?
Yeah, I think it is completed. Like I'm just testing it with several test cases now, and then I will just mark it for the review.
Would you mind like explaining what what you learned about the proto for chunking and like why you created it in that
Yeah,
way? I think just like it will just really help me when reviewing because I have to study like each of these transactions.
yeah,
Um
I can.
yeah, great.
So, like I was testing with the example that we have. So it was the topic message submit transaction, and like it is causing um, giving the status of maximum or too long transaction, something like that, when we pass the string which has a byte length of like 1024 bytes. Then I just do look at the proto, so what we can do and other transaction, and there I found that there is a chunking information that we put into the topics. So what I have done is that uh, in the topic submit message transaction, that here, so it is like basically it takes the message, and then there are like how many chunks we are going to send, and what is the maximum size of the chunk. So by default it is 1024 byte, and 20 chunks are the maximum chunks that we can set. So uh, first I just initialize these two variables in that, and then uh, I refer the JS SDK, in which it just calculate the number of chunks that is required for the message that we have based on the length of the message. So I created a function that basically calculates the required chunks that we have, and there is like other function which validates uh, if the maximum number of chunks that we are going to send and the required chunks are less than or greater than, and it just raises the error. So yeah, it is like here. So it basically first calculate what is the required chunks, and then it checks that if it is in the range of the maximum chunk we have, otherwise it will just raise an error. um, and then I have just add several fields here. So first field is that what is the total number of chunks that we have, and then there is the initial ID. So in the proto, I think if I can, yeah. So in the protobuf, basically we have a chunk information that basically is to send when we send a chunk message to the topic a message submit transaction, and it has like the initial ID. So this is the ID that is like the primary ID or the base ID of the transaction that we are going to send, and there is the total number of the chunks that are currently in the messages, and this is the like number of sequence. So it is the first chunk, then second chunk, and that's how. So then it comes to the, I have just
So
override the freeze.
sorry,
uh,
Manoj, is this an extension to topic message submit
yes,
transaction
yes, yes, yes,
already
yes,
exists? So there was like
yes,
an error that you couldn't pass large
yes,
messages, so you're adding chunking.
yes.
Okay. Where is the
So
I was looking for the protobuf for it. So does that mean the
yeah, yeah.
protobuf is inside topic message submit transaction for
So
the
yeah, I
hash block?
can.
Yeah, okay, that yeah, topic ID message chunk of info.
So that is the topic chunk currently. Like I don't have the link to the Hedera protobuf, so I need to just find it out. So here it just passed the chunking information, and it just takes like the initial ID, the total number of chunks, and the number, the sequence number per second. And I have just like override the freeze method. So what it does is like first check if any transaction bytes are set. If they are set, it just returns self, and then it just look for the transaction ID. If it is not set, then it just set the transaction ID, and this will be like the base transaction ID. Um and this transaction IDs basically holds the list of the transaction ID that are required for like each chunk we are going to call the topic message transaction again and again. So this will like create an array that will have like the different transaction IDs, so that we can use it when we will build the body. So it use like a current valid start time, and then it iterates for the number of chunks that are required to be sent. And if for the first chunk, it just set the transaction ID to the base transaction ID, and here it also set the initial transaction ID that we have to set for the chunking information. And otherwise, if it is like not the first chunk, then it will calculate a new uh, valid start by adding some uh, amount of uh, by extending the nanoseconds or seconds, and then create a new transaction ID and add it to the array list, and then it calls the freeze with method for with the like the super class freeze with method, and which like in turns build the body. So for first for first iteration, it will just come here and just build the body, and if the total chunk size is greater than the first index, or it is greater than the one, then only it is going to add the chunking information. Otherwise it will just return the transaction body without the chunking information. And then I have also override the execute method. So in this, first it validates that the required chunks and the maximum number of chunks that are allowed to set are um, less than or equal to that. Um, and if the required chunk is like a single chunk we have to send, then it will just call it one for one time. And for the multiple chunk, it will just create a response array. And for the number of times or the number of chunks, it will just increment the index number for the uh, to keep the track of the sequence, for the first sequence, second sequence, and then it will uh, get the IDs from the array list that we have stored, and set it to the new transaction ID for the transaction. And it will create the previous, if there is any previous transaction body bytes or signature map that is set, it will just clear it and call the freeze with transaction. But since there is the check here for that will check if the transaction IDs are already generated or not, it will like just go, it will just keep this entire thing and just call the super method on the transaction class. And yeah, and then it will like sign the transaction and get the response by calling the super class execute method, and then append the response to the response array. And finally it will just return the first index, the response of the first index. So like this is similar to what the JS SDK has done, so I just mimic it here. And this signing function basically saves the signing keys that we have used to sign the transaction, so it can be the submit key that we use to sign the transaction, to use it later whilst executing the multiple chunk transaction. So that's all. uh,
Oh, I just realized Priyanshu and Angie are here as well. Hi.
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 Manish has been guiding us through his new transaction functionality that he's creating. He's enabling chunking for topic message submits.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome.
Manish, what does it mean when it returns the first response? Like what is the expected response in that case?
so it will be like so it will be like the normal response that we get when we submit a message, which contains the topic message chunk, not the topic message chunk, but like uh, actually it will contain the transaction IDs for the response, the status, um, if the message is successfully sent or not. uh, so that's what the response that is sending. And the first response means uh, the base the transaction ID, or the base transaction ID that we use as the initial transaction ID. So
Yeah.
we just return that as the first response. So based on that transaction ID, we can just fetch the topic message uh, by using like I, yes, based on that we can like call the, I think it is topic submit a query or something, like to just validate that if the transaction has been completed or not.
Okay, and then so how do you test it? Do you create like
Yeah. I have like
a very long
created
message that
some,
will fail and then
yes.
okay.
So I have like created an integration test. Yeah. So here I have just copied from the Java SDK. So it is like a large content. So
Yeah, I thought you learned some Latin. I was like-
and I like just create a simple message. So that create a uh, topic, and yeah, it just create a topic here, and it has an like message list. So uh, to like terminate the loop, like yeah, to like terminate the loop here, when we just like get the single message content, I just take here a message list, and these are like the the functions that are called when the message is received or some error is occur. And in the topic message query, I just pass the ID. And this enable chunking is important to, if like there is a large message, we have to just enable the chunking, or otherwise it will like not give us the full content, or the content will be like jumble. uh, and yeah, and that's yeah, this is some timeout here to like ensure that if the message fails to like receive in like 120 seconds, just raise some error, so that we can just identify that the test has been failed. um, Otherwise we can just assert if the first message content is equal to the big content. And like there is also the second transaction by using the topic info. So it basically checks for the number of sequence. Yeah, so here like it is just created a long text with the string of the ace with like 1024 multiplied by 14, that will just result into 14 chunks, and we just submit the message. And for the like first time we just call the topic info query, it will just contain the sequence number that it like tells us how many chunks are there in the message. So for the first time it will be 0, but when we like send the message, it will be like 14 chunks. That will be the new chunks that are gone there, so it will be like 14. So that is one test that I have added.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks very thorough. It looks very well thought out as well. Yeah. Thanks for explaining that. I will be able to, yeah, because when somebody creates a pull request, I have to study everything from scratch that you are submitting. So if you create chunking, I need to look at the proto, and I need to basically think about how would I create it myself, like what are you doing and stuff. So just being explained how everything links together makes everything so much easier. And yeah, I think I've understood like the key ideas. Is it's going to be a matter of like, does it work, is it reasonable? Yeah, so I appreciate that, Manish.
Yeah, thanks.
What kind of things are you thinking on working on next? Do you have like a strategy of
Yeah,
what you want to do?
I'm like looking on the hooks implementation from the different XDK, and I think I'll work on them. But there will be like other changes that I like to add to the SDK as well. So like there is some class called as create contract flow in the other SDKs, and like there are some methods missing in the account ID as well. So I'll just create a issues for that, and like they are a kind of like good first issues, so the newcomers or the contributors can just contribute to the project.
Awesome. Actually, yeah, about the workflow. So I have a question. So, um, sorry, I realize I'm talking too much. So I will. So in the PR that you submitted, we got Copilot
Yes.
on board to give some feedback because it's a really big pull request. Can I get like your feedback on how useful did you find like
Yeah,
the
it was like really useful. So I like do lot of typos and like spelling mistakes in writing the comments and all the stuff, and it like really helpful. Also it likes identify where there is like uh, new line or intent is needed, so it is like useful.
awesome? Because I think Priyanshu actually suggested the idea of, hey, you could have AI look at reviews,
Yeah.
and that will save lots and lots of time for like an initial review, which I thought was a brilliant idea. I told Hendrik within like 2 minutes. So Hendrik, please, I need I need an AI review. And he was the one who enabled this feature. But so it's like this thing you have to like actually request the review, and I don't think I can actually request a Copilot review. So for example, if I try and type in Copilot, I don't get anything. So I think there's like some permission that we need to work through. And then also in settings, I don't have all the ability to add automation, because ideally like everything would be in my opinion, everything would be like Copilot reviewed light in the beginning, instead of having to request it every time, because then somebody could have submitted a pull request and like 3 hours later they get their first review, and it could have just been like in the first 5 to 10 minutes. So that's kind of where we are. I think the Copilot thing could be a really good thing. And Priyanshu, you suggested another service which looks really good, and you mentioned it's actually like free for
It's
most
Code Rabbit.
Code Rabbit AI. Yeah.
So like I think right now the Henrik only can run the Copilot wala part. So you and me can't run this on the PRs or any other contributor. So yeah, it's the thing. That's why we are not able to run Copilot on every PR. So Henrik has the like administration pass to run Copilot. So it needs that to run that workflow.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and talk with them and see if we can work something out to either do like the Code Rabbit or do the GitHub
Hmm.
Pilot. Have you tried Copilot and compared it to like Code Rabbit before, Priyanshu?
Yeah, I tried both, but for me, like Code Rabbit is like much better than Copilot. But it's fine. Like we can have both. Like it's fine to us. So like both works fine. There are some minor things they take care of, but yeah, they like looks me fine. Like Copilot is also good.
Okay. Yeah, definitely gonna want to do that. So I've been very vocal about how we've had so many new starters. So if you just look at the new releases that have happened for Python SDK, and you just see like this one we had 5 new starters, but like the one before we had so many. We've done like 3 releases in a month, so there's actually a lot of people involved. Read more. These reads are so long, right? We have so many new contributors and everything. So I think we're definitely at like 40 plus new contributors. That one had like 17. 0.19 has like 17 or something like this again. So we have so many new starters, and then so the issue for me is like we have so many. I have to create so many issues to keep up with you guys, and then you guys create so many pull requests, which is great to see. So now we need to get smarter on how can we still have like good feedback and everything. So one of the question is how you've been finding the co-pilot, but another thing is what have you thought about like the bots? So there's a bot for the workflow bot. Has this been helpful at all? That's something that I wanted to ask. And we have another one which is like your commits aren't verified. If I could get some feedback on that, I don't know what your thoughts are. Does it actually help you solve the issues?
I think it's fine. Like the first PR the person pulls, he should be just once it notifies key. Okay, you should be taking care of these guides, and you should be looking on these guides if you face any issue. Today itself I mentioned a person, he was like failing with DCO signs. So yeah, so it's very useful for maybe that's useful for them. Sometimes I also see like I also get fooled. So for me it's useful.
Yeah. Angie, do you have any like views on that? I know I have one of the things that you wanted to talk about, which is like the workflows. So that's on my list as well. Do you want to talk about, are you able to talk about like the bots and the workflows? Manage says I think bots are great. Okay, I'm not sure if Angie's able to speak currently, but whenever you are, Angie, send the message. She is traveling at the moment. Okay, I will try and bring up the issues that you wanted to discuss as well. Yeah, so what I think the bots and the GitHub Copilot will free up a lot of time, and that will help us to improve our review process so we can really give like better feedback. I've created a new issue to create a bot to help provide feedback if you have a merge conflict. So like quite often this happens and it's actually quite complicated to solve. It's not always the same process. So I thought that this could be a really useful one to work on, but I created the 2 previous bots, and Nadine and Manish had to jump in help through some of it because it's actually quite hard to test and make sure everything was working. So I think this one is a little bit difficult, but that would be a great thing, I think, to work on. With that. Okay, so in terms of community broader questions, Angie wants to talk about, or wanted to talk about, triggering workflows. So currently, when you submit a pull request, you have some workflows that don't run. So you have like the title checks that run and these kind of like more basic checks that run, but you don't have the solo tests run. You don't have the examples run. And Angie wanted to know if there was a way to be able to approve your own workflows or to make it easier to run so that you get feedback on that. My personal view is I don't know how to do that without doing it safely, because the workflows give quite a lot of permissions to the codes that you're submitting to run. I don't know, Manish, what do you think about that? Like, is there a way to help users like request the workflow feedback, like the solo test feedback, any faster?
I think I'll need to do some research on that.
Yeah. You can, I explained to Angie, you can actually run these on your own fork, on your own repo. Like when you create a pull request, it pushes to your origin and then it will actually run these behind the scenes. So you can always look at the results there. You don't necessarily need to look at them here. But yeah, maybe that's something to think about. Like, do we need all the workflows to run with permission? Is there anything that we can leave open? The other community question was examples. So currently our examples are really heavily like exemplified. So they have like lots and lots of detail. For example, in token burn transaction, we don't only explain how to burn a transaction, right? We could just have this. Actually, maybe just this. But we actually have all kinds of other things. We have like mint, the NFT, and we have like create the NFT, set up the client. All these other things that maybe confuses people. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. Do we need to change the way that our examples are done to make them like drier, shorter? Do we like this longer style? Is there like a middle point? What would you, yeah, does anyone have any ideas on that? What we can do to like make things easier maybe? Or clearer?
Sir, like I have to look around this. So it's from new to me.
Oh, okay. Angie says, can you repeat that? And did you say something as well, Priyanshu? Because I think I missed it.
So it's new to me, so I have to look in this file.
Oh, these are new to you. Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, the method that we've been using is our examples are end-to-end. And what that means is like, okay, you want to burn an NFT, then we are going to make sure that you can just run all of it and it will burn the NFT. The problem is when we burn an NFT, it won't work unless you have an NFT to burn. And so that then means like, okay, we first need to create the NFT. and you need to then mint the NFT so that you can then burn it. So if you want to be able to just click run to burn the NFT, you need to have all these previous steps. And obviously you need like a Hiero account and everything to run these transactions. So that's why our examples are longer than might look like would be ideal. The other argument we had is like these kinds of examples are pretty nice for AIs to learn how to burn NFTs, right? If you want to ask like ChatGPT, help me to burn an NFT on the Hiero network using Python, it will, based on this, if it reads this, it might start to like suggest, okay, you probably will need to have the NFT first and then, you know, mint it. So that's the current thinking. I'm personally, I think I'm okay with this. I don't know whether it's worth adding, like maybe we can refactor some of the examples to have like longer doc strings to explain why we are taking so many steps. But I don't have any particularly, I think, good ideas on that. But it's just kind of like a discussion if anyone has any feedback. Angie, you've got your hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, I'm sure you guys are aware it's Thanksgiving tomorrow, so forgive me for all of the noise behind me. I just got home from the store, so if you can't hear me, please let me know. But I'm wondering for the amount of, I would say, steps that you have to go through just to be able to burn an NFT, would a video tutorial be useful for those who don't have NFTs and don't want to go through all the steps, and they can just kind of watch the tutorial, and then when it comes time to burning, that would be the part that they focus on. I'm wondering if maybe we would be able to kind of do tutorial videos for some of these things just to kind of help people in terms of understanding, especially those who are more visual learners and like to see the whole flow of everything. It might help them to tie things together, make it easier versus having to go through every step, especially for those people who don't have NFTs and are relatively new to it and are more or less trying to practice.
Yeah, I like that. Just thinking like how that would work. So one of the ideas is like creating like a move things into a Jupyter notebook where instead of having like all this code, you could just click, okay, I want to run just this section and see what happens. I want to just run this section, or just run the burn section. So then ideally, like even from the website, it's possible that you could just run that. I don't know how we would do that because I imagine we are going to need like a super Hedera portal account that already has NFTs created and things like that, so that you can just run the parts of the function that you want. I don't know if anyone has any experience like creating these Jupyter notebook styles. Maybe that could be a good step forward we could do. And yeah, with then that means we could just easily put like a video, like instead of having a doc string or something, we could just have like this, you know, this does this because of that. And actually we could maybe even link to like, I'm sure there's like Hedera documentations that explain to you how to burn an NFT as well. So we could maybe it's a good thing, I'm just thinking aloud, to like standardize our example module doc strings to link information that already exists,
Can we
and
use
also put
the,
videos in. Yeah.
oh, sorry.
No, Angie, after you.
I'm wondering if we would be able to put in some kind of link to the Hedera playground for that. So like I know Hendrik told me a little bit about it. I haven't been able to do too much with it yet. I just haven't had the time. But I'm looking over a few, and it does seem as though it goes over how to create tokens. It doesn't seem like it's an NFT, more it would just be like your typical token. But I'm wondering if we could potentially do a link to that somehow where people could run it through the playground as opposed to going through gas fees and transactional fees and everything.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah, I mean, ideally we could even skip needing your own account. That'd be pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, maybe we should just keep talking about this. Because it does look like we're going to need to research about like the playground. We need to research Jupyter notebooks. We need to research, is there such a thing as like a super Hiero portal account that we could just feed with semi-unlimited H bars? Yeah, I don't know if that's possible, but yeah, I think we do need to probably improve the user friendliness of the examples. Like they're pretty nice in many ways, but it can be improved.
yeah, I will ask Hendrik about that because I know that those testnet accounts, they're funded with something. I just don't know. I can't remember what they are. I want to say it's like tiny bars. I think it's what I'm calling it. I could be saying that completely wrong.
Yeah, like testnet H bars.
Yeah, I don't know. There's H bar, but then I know there's like one other. It's like mini bar or something. I'm probably saying that so completely wrong. Um, but I think they may run off of like testnet H bar. So we could have users directed here and they could use those testnet funds to try to run some of these transactions, especially the burn transaction to see how that would work. But I can reach out to him and see if that's something we can do.
Yeah, let's I'll write this down to just keep trying to work on examples over time. Now, I think now that we've created pretty nice examples in the sense that most of them can now just be run. Before like the examples wouldn't necessarily work just when you ran the script, it was just an illustration. So we've advanced a lot with the examples. But yeah, I think we can improve them as well. Okay, so next on the list is we had a community idea of an Linux Foundation LFX mentorship. And we have ongoing issues that talk about the Google Summer of Code. So I'll just show you here. There is a developer quite a while back that's saying, hey, we should start discussing participating in Google Summer of Code. And we had the idea of LFX mentorship as well, since the LFDT is like part of the Linux Foundation. And we've just started talking about the idea and learning about what that would require and if we would actually be able to support that. So as far as I understand, we need to have you need to have like a mentee, and the mentee will be assigned a project that is like 100 to 300 hours. So it's like these massive projects. And based on that, from what I was told, is that you meet up with them once a week or so online, and you just help them to resolve like this bigger issue. I understand that there's a small a small payment for the mentees to help them with that. I'm not sure if the LFDT will be able to give us like budget to be able to do that. And we have to apply to be able to host one of these schemes.
No, no, nothing would be there. The budget wala part would be sorted by LFX itself. We have to just list the project on the LFX portal, and the payments would be given by LFX only. So, yeah.
Okay, so LFX already has the money and
Yeah.
the IT system to do it. We just need to create an application of like a project idea for a mentee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then do you know, so I assume we're only allowed to have like one mentee at a time? Or do you know if that's more open?
So it's depend on the projects, how many projects we have going to be listing, like 2, 3, or 4, 5. Depends on our mentors availability. So every project can have 1 or 2 mentees depending if the one mentee can do that work or not, depending on the difficulty of the work. And this is kind of the parameters and metrics we would be using to analyze things. So depending on that. So yeah, up to you.
Okay. I mean, I was talking with Angie about this a little bit slightly, that I personally would like to work on creating some kind of training scheme for the Hiero Python SDK. I assume that's less technical than would usually be wanted by like one of the LFX mentorships. But that's something that definitely comes to my mind. Is there anything else, like Manish or Angie? Do you think that there's something in the project right now that suggests that we could have like a big piece of work to challenge a new mentee? We get some ideas going.
I would say work with the proto buffs. I think a good challenge for them would probably be to try to create something of its entirety on their own. I'm not exactly sure, like specifically what that would entail. So I'm trying to think of an example. Like a mini, I'll just do like a mini challenge. I guess the first part of that would be to try to create a proto buff on their own. And then if they run into issues at that point, they'd reach out to the mentee, and the mentee would be there to assist them throughout the rest of the process. But I think there's definitely a challenge to be had in terms of the area of proto buffs for sure. I think that would be something very beneficial to mentees, especially because proto buffs do make up a very good amount of the SDK. So having a very thorough understanding of that probably be very beneficial for them. Prayush, Manish, does anybody else have any ideas? I'm trying to think of other ones.
So me, like we can just create some issues around like multiple issues, and we can pile up them in our project itself, and we can assign that to that mentee itself, the person who would be becoming the mentee, and the mentor can take care around that mentee. So it would be easy to bifurcate the work of them. So yeah.
So I read as Manish said, I also think the same. Manish, for which one?
I think like creating the issues into like some difficult issues into a chunk will be great for that.
Yeah, I mean, with the proto buffs, I imagine we might need some training to
Me too, right there with you.
to mentor someone and just like
Yeah, like these mentorship program bring sorry. So these mentorship program brings contribute like one like 15 days before it starts. So it's very hard to train around them around protobuffs. So it would be very like we should be initially starting with the like some base like not easy one but medium to high level difficulty. So the contributor can like understand around the things. So for once, the more contributors come and they go working with things, we can start with protobuffs also. So we can put protobuff in the phase 2 or like next mentorship term, because these mentorship terms goes like three times in a year. So this like January term would be the term one. So we can apply with 2 or 3 projects. Then there would be a summer term also. Then there would be a like in September there would be third term. So we would be continuing getting new mentees. So for that, that's the thing I was mentioning.
I mean, I think Manish might know more about this, but I was looking at the Python SDK compared to the JavaScript SDK for token associate, that kind of thing. And I noticed that they have like everything's very similar, but they also have like a little bit more support. So quite often they will also have from protobuf methods, they have like checksums, they have things that I think we're starting to do, but we when we created the transactions, we were like, okay, what's the essentials? Let's just get this started. And they've added more things over time. So I can definitely imagine that there's work to do to like aim to create more parity with the JavaScript SDK. Manish, is that like your impression as well? Do you think we could actually have like 100 hours of content worth of work? Something like that?
Yeah. I actually think like there will be like various new implementations and methods that are like not currently in the Python SDK, which we can like find in the JavaScript SDK. Also, like currently there are some new uh, transactions or the entities that they are creating. So yeah, that there will be like some content for the Menti program.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's the like most natural thing to do. So then we're going to have to go through all the transactions and figure out what's missing compared to the JavaScript SDK, type them all up, and then create some kind of scheme of work. So I imagine that's going to require a few more conversations to get right. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have any like spare time. We could maybe like divide up, like one person just looks at the token transactions and have a look and compare them to the JavaScript SDK, list all the findings. Maybe we could is this my computer? Yeah, okay. Maybe we could create like a discussion possibly where we add like ideas for like achieving higher functionality for existing transactions, parity with other SDKs. Because I know if you create a good first issue, like there's a lot of documentation to do, but maybe we could just add a chat like this. And we could say, here is a space to describe for any transaction or query that currently is missing functionality compared to the JavaScript SDK or the Go SDK or Java or whatever it is. We could maybe do something like that to just informally work together to start going through them. Yeah, it is a big amount of work to get one person to do it. Angie, you put your hand up.
I'm wondering if it would be a good idea to find just one SDK and then use that as a basis for the rest of them. So for example, if the JavaScript SDK has all the higher functionality and existing transactional work that we're looking for, at that point, I'm wondering if it would be a good idea to try to maybe mirror that same thing for the SDKs of Python and Java and all that.
Okay, maybe we can just start with like token transactions for any token transaction that is not at parity with the JavaScript SDK.
Do we have a token transaction in mind that's not up to par with the JavaScript SDK?
No,
For me, haven't looked very much at the other SDKs, so I'm not sure off the top of my head.
No, yeah, what we need to do is we need to go through the Python SDK, look at all the transactions we have, compare them to the JavaScript SDK for that transaction, and like list, hey, we're missing from proto in this.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can work on that like together. I'll just put this here to see if we do get some traction from the community that is able to help with that, and then that way I think we could end up supporting a mentee, because we need to just get all the work that has to be done for them, and that I can try and do some of it, but I also have to do some of like the reviews, some of the bots, some of the training and stuff. So I'll need some help with that. So I'll just create that there and see if anybody is able to find something. We can go through it systematically.
Wondering if that would be a good task for mentees in terms of helping them get familiar with the SDKs, having them go through it to see what's missing and then letting us know. And then from there, we can kind of work with them and help them out to make it similar to, I guess, the Java SDK or JavaScript SDK, if that's going to be our basis.
Yeah, I think that's great. We need to see if we are allowed to do that with the LFX application. Maybe we actually need to be quite detailed and everything. But yeah, I think that's the case. We've completely overrun, so I appreciate everyone, all your ideas. So we've definitely got some challenges, right? We've got scaling challenges. We've got new transactions to do. We have parity to solve. We have the workflows and everything. It's a good time to be involved with the Python SDK, but yeah, also we are going to need to be work more together and be a little bit smarter with how we work through everything. So yeah, I appreciate everyone coming here today, and yeah, see you next week. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Bye. Thank you.